Everyone, good evening and welcome to another wonderful edition of Conversations with the Love Crusader. It promises to be an exciting edition today. Happy New Year again for those of you who are tuning in for the first time in 2023. We had an awesome session last Sunday with the introduction of the hot seat. And you don't want to be missing any editions of the Conversations with the Love Crusader because it's getting hot. Yeah. And we have another interesting topic today. If you're coming to meeting this platform or seeing this platform for the first time, it is Conversation with the Love Crusader. Here we talk about love, we talk about life, we talk about relationships in a fun way, but just learning while having fun. Yeah, so you can subscribe. It's on YouTube at Men Fences TV. It's at Men Fences on Facebook, and on my professional platform, my professional profile on LinkedIn. Let me quickly say a warm welcome to our special guest, who of course needs not much of an introduction for those who are regulars on Conversation with the Love Crusader. It's just that today she's home alone. And but I trust God that the wisdom that God wants to bring out through her will still, it will be passed on. Pastor Mary is a mother, she's a wife, she's a pastor, she's a public servant, she is a teacher, she's a plenty things. She's a mommy with plenty cap. She wears a lot of cap. And welcome to Conversation again, Pastor Mary.
Thank you very much. Thank you for having me today.
You're welcome. And of course, my co-host is our ever handsome, quiet, gentle, all those kind of brother. He's taking. Nobody should ask me. He's taking, please. Yes. Dr. Emmanuel, welcome back. Thank you for being here. Welcome to the show again.
Thank you. Awesome to be back. Happy New Year, everyone.
Okay. Let's try to introduce the topic. I already started getting comments, from people saying, "Oh my God, that's something I like to listen to. That's something I like to hear. That's what I really like, to talk about. Just generally talking about new beginnings and how to start afresh. Most times people beat themselves up with, a bad relationship, or a divorce or a breakup. Generally when love has gone south. And you hear things like, "Oh, I'll never fall in love again." I think one of the most popular one is that men has come. Women can never be satisfied. So many, so bitterness, as far as I'm concerned, those cliches come from bitterness. And we are just going to generally talk about how people can start afresh. How do we start afresh? This is a new year. I'm hoping and I'm trusting for new beginnings for those on my platform, for those outside the platform, those who will watch this. And that's why we tend to start this way. It's a new year. New year is always an opportunity for a new beginning. It's always an opportunity to start afresh, to do something different than what you would usually do. So, lady, and gentlemen, let's jump into it. Let's start by talking, first of all, about heartbreak. Do they exist? He broke my heart. She broke my heart. Is that a thing, really? Can somebody's heart be broken? Pastor Mary, help us.
Sure. Hearts are broken, oh. It's possible. Yeah, and as long as you have relationships, you have partnership, once it's not just we are in a society where one way or the other you have to relate with people. And most times, heartbreak is from a place of commitment. When there's this extra commitment, with a person, like you've covenanted with a person, and you've decided that, okay, we are going to do this together, then heartbreak is actually possible.
Hmm. Covenanted. That word is big. What do you mean by covenant? Not everyone will understand that covenant.
No,
Covenant.
let's just leave it at the word agreement. Like you've gone into an agreement, like, okay, we are going to do this together, either in a dating relationship or business partnership. Once there's an agreement, yes.
Mm.
In fact, within family circle, you hear a child's parent to say the child broke their heart. So it's like when there's an unusual bond, and so heartbreak is possible.
So that's a deviation from the expected
Yes,
or the agreed. I like your word. That
exactly.
agreement. That agreement is more okay. So, but do we not find a situation where there was actually no agreement? Maybe the relationship kind of existed in the mind of one person, and then this person comes back and say, "My heart has been broken."
And we ask the person how, because the other person is not really like, did not even know, or how would I put it? You already said there was no connection, no agreement, no.
No, there might be a connection. Let me give you an example. And I think
Okay.
this is a funny example, but anyone who went to university in Nigeria can relate with sisters and their coolers, and brothers in fellowship.
Don't shake that table now.
So, all the Spirikoko brothers, Bro Emma will tell us his few years that he studied in Nigeria, whether he had that experience.
Oh my
Spirikoko
God.
brothers always have sisters who like to cook, who like, to be close to them, who is always going with them to evangelism, and they do things together. And in the long run, Papa will not come and bring another girl. Problem
But
starts.
I may answer this question.
Oh wow.
But it does happen.
Well, from my own experience back in the day, what you're saying is an exact description of something that happened to me. It was back in one of my university experiences in Nigeria back then. I think I was serving as the assistant choir coordinator, or I was not yet. Something. It was either I was. It was either I was or just about to be. And there was a particular lady that had this what you've just described. Um, on one hand, from the guy's standpoint, on one hand, you're worried about, is this person thinking that something is going to happen? In which case, if I don't see anything, it means something did not happen. On the other hand, you're worried about, should I accept this person's kind gestures and interpret them as kindness or goodness, or should I interpret them more than they really are? So it was just as confusing for me as it was a heartbreak for this person, as it was a heartbreak for this person involved, because she was of the opinion, or at least she thought, um, her gestures were indications that things were going to happen, but I was not on the same plane with her. And yes, you're right. I eventually dated somebody else, and that created a lot of unhappiness and stuff. I had to go apologize and try to talk her into it, and it was eventually amicable. But you're right. I believe commitment is the key here, and it's unfortunate that there are many circumstances where people don't verbalize things, but their actions they speak louder than words. So and if you're going to continue to what I call lead somebody on, then eventually when you decide, oh no, I never thought of you that way, it becomes a heartbreak because you've been leading that person on, and the person was of the opinion that okay, maybe you're just taking your time to process things, and we would eventually get on the same page. And this can happen with either guy or ladies, in which case somebody might now actually feel heartbroken because they were making commitments already to try to make that connection, and now it doesn't come through the way they anticipated. So it
Okay. But then
is
let's come back to
possible
Mama.
scenarios.
Let's come back to Mama.
Okay.
Isn't this why we advise sisters especially?
Yeah.
Because we are the emotional being as female. It's not like guys don't get their heart broken. And of course men cry, whether we like it or not. Um but it's mostly sisters who cry about how, oh, they've broken my heart, and it
They
has
serve
broken
you
my heart.
breakfast.
Isn't it more advisable to wait until this person opens his mouth?
Exactly. I was going to say that.
Thank
That
you.
is my counsel. Please, whether they lead you on or not, wait till it is verbalized. Don't don't run with your, at times we can create this mental whatever,
Picture.
thinking, oh, this person likes me, and probably the brother was just being nice. There are people who are overly nice, and because you really don't get nice people around you, you just feel, oh, this person has something for me. I beg you, please wait till it is verbalized. There's lyrics to the action. Don't run with actions alone. It's not enough.
I totally agree with you. We are trying to help someone here today. Please, if you're listening, male or female,
Mm,
like Sister Mary said from the beginning, agreement. Let there be an agreement. If
sure.
there's no agreement, nobody's owing you nothing. And you cannot come and cry about heartbreak. Do you get what I mean? I'm saying
Sure.
this thing because we were young once. And I experienced that too. In the long run, someone said, "Oh, that one, that sister, she's a Jezebel. She's a Jezebel, you know." And yeah, bro was bringing stuff. Bro was visiting in school. Bro was buying things, but bro never said nothing. And I'm not a ghost. I'm not a spirit. Even if I have the Holy Spirit, I'm not a spirit to know what is inside your mind. You have to speak up, people. You have to talk. You have to get into an agreement with someone. I think this is the foundation I want to lay first. Before we begin to talk about heartbreak, we talk about bitterness or pain of relationship. First of all, let's be sure you are in a relationship.
Exactly.
Okay. Dr. Mana, you want to add something to that, so I should move on from that? Okay, I think, are you frozen? Can you hear us? All right, so let's say,
I can hear
okay,
you.
you can hear me. So I was saying, do you have anything to add? I want to move on now.
Oh, well, the one thing I would add when it comes to heartbreak is the degree of heartbreak is usually directly related to the degree of investment in that relationship. So the degree to which you're invested, the degree to which you've given of yourself, of your time, of your years to a relationship impacts can directly translate into how heartbroken you are and how much time you might need to heal.
Hmm. Okay, so you've already started picking on what I wanted to, the next phase of the heartbreak that I wanted to talk about, which is the healing. Because I'm not really today. I'm more about the starting afresh, not more about the. I don't want to sit with the pain. I don't want to sit with, the hurt. Yes, you've been hurt. Yes, your heart has been broken. Yes, someone broke your agreement with them. Yes, you've invested your time. And I tell you, there are a whole lot of awful stories out there. People go through a lot. There's a popular, I'm not mentioning anyone's name, a popular Nigerian actress who even thought she was engaged. This guy actually engaged her, gave her a ring. But apparently he was a scammer. Got her nude pictures and started spreading it over the internet, started blackmailing her. This is somebody who she had invested in a relationship with to the point of we are getting married. But he never was interested in the marriage. So it's there, and like you said, there are degrees and there are levels. But how do we begin to heal? My heart is broken. How do I begin to heal? Mama.
Okay, how to heal? Well, it's not easy. That's the truth. Like doctor said, it depends on your level of investment and all of that with the past relationship. So now this is an exit. So I would like to say it's good you pray about it. Like there are times where you feel you can never heal and you pray about stuff like that. Tell God how you feel about it. And with time you feel the pain ease, like you feel this relief. So prayer is always like it for me. It's the starting point. And after praying, I believe you should find other activities or things to indulge in because we are talking about investment of time, resources to this one person. You have to distract yourself a little while by getting maybe committed to other things, activities. It could be sporting activities, it could be movies, hanging out. Like just change your routine a little. Change your routine. Relationship could be now. There are those that spend almost the whole day, the entire time with this person. So you have to just change direction from that. Maybe those places you hang out, those places you go to, places you easily maybe meet this person. At times you just stumble on it, just walk into each other. And it's most difficult for those that are actually living together. That's another ball game entirely. Like when you're under one roof, you have this joint account. In fact, I don't know if this time will permit us to talk
Yeah,
about that.
yeah.
So it's quite difficult at that level. But as much as possible, try to breathe this fresh air by changing your routine. Then have friends that will be your support system, or a coach, a mentor, a counselor that you can still talk to, pour your heart to, and that will counsel you to stay firm. I will not say don't cry, you cry. Like I'm this kind of person. I'm this kind of person that when I'm that hot, I would just rather cry first. I know when I push it out that first time, I'm a little relieved from it. But you still need those you can a shoulder to cry on. It's not that person anymore. Whatever, I don't know why the relationship was broken in the first place, but there are times you cannot go back to that person for that. So you must have a counselor, a mentor, a coach you can talk to, and that will encourage you. But it's very
Okay.
important to heal before you begin any other relationship.
Aha. Good point there.
Mm-hmm.
Good point there. Because you see some people. Okay, so we're talking generally now. I think I'm lumping it together, so to speak. Although today might not be enough. Of course, we're going to continue this topic next week, and some people will be here to share real life experiences about starting afresh or letting go of pain from maybe divorce, the death of a loved one. So it's not just about heartbreak, like you're talking about in marriage, for example. You're married to someone, but now the relationship is over. You're talking about divorce. You've always done everything together. Your monies are tied together, investments are together. You hear some people say things like, "I don't even know my life. Like I don't exist without this person."
Yeah.
So where do I start from? So I love that last point you made about healing first before you enter into another one. Because psychologically, research has shown that people don't heal and then they keep repeating the same pattern and maybe going for the same kind of tool again, making the same kind of mistake. Dr. Sebo, what do you think?
Yeah, those are very, very great points about, what to do if you're experiencing heartbreak. Yes, and I agree with you that it's important to heal before attempting to go into another relationship. Healing does take time, to be honest. And depending on what you do during the period when you're hurting, it will determine how long you would need to heal. Some people are pretty good at managing their emotions, and I don't mean burying it. I mean acknowledging the emotion, the pain, and then some people are really, really good, especially ladies, at talking to people about their pain, talking to people, sharing the pain, talking with friends, family. If you have a pastor, a counselor, like Pastor Mary said, even seeking professional help. There are people who really believe in professional help, and why not? So the more you do things to facilitate, it's like having an injury. If you leave the wound to be, it's likely that it will eventually heal. It's just it may take longer than someone who is intentionally, using medications and things to make that injury get healed, right? So you would shorten the time that is spent hurting by doing all these things that we've talked about, crying out to God about it, and then being honest with yourself. A lot of the time, people are delusional. Be honest with yourself about the part that you play to bring things to where they are. Part of healing is looking at yourself in the mirror. And when you've done that, you've done that self-examination. You've now been able to objectively analyze situation, which is what other people would help you do when you speak with them. They'll help you to see things that perhaps you're blinded, from seeing because of the emotional impact. With that, you're gradually able to confront the situation, and then you can now start to heal from it. And then you take stock. What are the lessons learned from this painful situation? In fact, personally, I believe one of the ways you can start evaluating that you actually healing is if you can actually talk freely about that situation without feeling pain. If you can gist about it, if you can make a joke about it and it doesn't hurt, and you're not angry, you don't immediately go into an a rage or something, then you're actually going in the right direction, and you're getting healed from the pain.
Great, great, great. I'm loving this. I'm loving this. But I'm hearing some things that, people don't sometimes stop to think about, especially when we get to that emotional state and that emotional level. I mean, for example, the death of a spouse might not be anyone's fault. Um, but when it comes to something like a divorce, a heartbreak or a broken relationship, since it takes two to tango, I agree with you that the first thing is to evaluate your own role in the relationship. Men has come. What did you do in the relationship? Yeah, she's a bad girl. She's a bad girl. Or what's your role in the relationship? Suffice to say, and I think I've seen this on social media, we are in a generation where people are quick to throw things away instead of trying to fix or mend it. So it's just about, oh, it's not working for me, throw it away. She's not, in fact, she no longer tickles my fancy. I'm no longer in love with this person. There were things you did to fall in love with the person at first. Why don't you try doing them again? But some people don't make the effort, not everyone. Don't make the effort to try to keep the relationship. And even if effort has been made to keep the relationship, you also need to know for example, a man who cheats in a relationship and comes back to say the woman is bad. The woman might be a hard woman because she has refused to forgive you for cheating. Some people might forgive, some women, some soft, kind-hearted women a soft, kind-hearted woman might forgive. But maybe a hard woman will say, I can't forgive. We are different, right? We all have what we can take. Now, instead of dwelling on her inability to forgive you, why don't you dwell on your mistake that brought about the need for the forgiveness in the first place? You get what I'm trying to say? So I believe that's what you're saying when you're saying evaluate your parts in the relationship. What did I do wrong? Because if you don't know what you
Yeah,
did wrong and you don't evaluate it, chances
absolutely.
are you repeat it again. Even if you go
And sometimes it may not be something that,
go on, go
yeah, I
on.
was going to say sometimes it's not something that you may have just done. It may just be your response, reaction, or what you have allowed to happen. It's a role you play. I give you an
Yeah.
example. Maybe someone that's in an abusive relationship and they are in it for such a long time
Mm,
before they eventually maybe break off from it. A lot of the time, the abuser can only continue to abuse if the abused permits, if you allow it, if you choose to live with it, if you continue to condone it. So that's a role that you're playing in that situation, even if you're not necessarily the aggressor. Which is why it's always important. Part of that healing process has to be take stock, reevaluate, try to after you've had a bit of an emotional relief, take stock and reevaluate. What part did I play? Was I passive where I should have been more assertive? How did I communicate? And all that together to give a better sense, then you're better equipped for the next thing that is coming.
yeah, Mama, what do you have to say about that? Just generally evaluating, evaluating your part in the relationship.
Yes, it's key because it helps you know what to do and what not to do in your next relationship. So it's good to take stock of what has happened, process the whole thing. It helps you know where you should improve to, if need be, where you should sit up, what you should tolerate next time, what you shouldn't tolerate. So it's very important, I must say.
Okay, can someone die from a heartbreak?
That's
Straight
a
up.
big one.
I've heard
For
I've
me,
heard it. I don't know whether it's an exaggeration or it's a myth or it's real. That's what I'm
It's
asking. I
possible.
say, oh,
like this
the person
heartbreak
died
is
of a
killing
Yes.
broken heart.
me.
Eh?
It's killing me.
No,
Doctor,
Nobody
tell
should
us. Medical doctor, can somebody
on a
die of
more
a broken
serious
heart?
note, yes, it is possible.
have.
Um, it is possible. So let's say it is possible in the sense that the heartbreak leads to actions or inactions that then lead to the death. So it may not necessarily be cause effect, but the complications, yeah, let's use that. The complications connected with heartbreak can lead to to death. So, say for example, if somebody has a chronic illness and they are so heartbroken, they stop taking care of themselves. They stop taking their medications. It's just not taking your medication is a consequence. It's the complication of that heartbreak. It's not necessarily that the heartbreak now causes the death, but when the person fails to take care of themselves medically, and it's just a very direct example, they can worsen their health situation and eventually lead to death. So it's not always a case of you're so heartbroken that your heart has to really, your emotion has to really, really, really need a lot of support for you to have such an emotional bout to the point that it actually can impact your health or to the point where it actually can cause somebody to die. That has to be really severe and it's very rare.
So it's more like the consequence.
Yes, correct.
And I think it also has a bit to do with our different levels of resilience.
Tolerance.
Because I mean, I've met a few people, one or two of recent, and the person has mental health challenges, and I was told, oh, her husband died, for example. Her husband
Mm,
died, and that triggered something in
mhm,
her so much so that she now has to maybe go through medication and treatments for her mental health. So that's why I'm asking this question: can being heartbroken actually lead to, death? I've heard of the ones who've attempted suicide or who have actually killed themselves. A
Hmm.
girl killed herself of recent and
True.
said because the guy broke up with her. What leads to this level? Is it that consequences of the heartbreak? Is it the inability to take it? Is it, I don't know. How do people get to
A
that
lot, a
level?
lot, a lot of time when you hear such scenarios, there's usually an undertone of maybe mental health illness in there. Is it on a regular, just go by normal how people react or respond to pain? There is something called grief. We humans, we have natural ways of grieving, and then there are things called pathological grief, where it's now going outside of the spheres of normality. Something like suicidal ideation or attempts, those are actually pathological forms of grief, which is associated with a heartbreak. So you would find that things like that are more common in people that might have undertones of mental health challenge, or at that particular season in life, they might be struggling in their mental health. There might even be other issues going on in their life, and the heartbreak now just becomes the tipping effect, that tips it over the edge and makes people do things that you would think, okay, this is a little bit, I want to say irrational, is a little bit too far fetched. But people grieve differently, especially when it's the loss of a loved one. And make no mistake, anytime there is heartbreak, let's just call it what it is. Separation is the equivalent of missing someone, it's the equivalent of grief. That's usually the level, the way we feel or processes as humans. You're separated from that person. So, yes, if there are other chronic illnesses or mental issues surrounding that event, it can make the event look like it's the very reason why that person is attempting suicide or other really harmful things.
Oh wow. So yeah, we're talking serious issues now. How do we help people? First of all, how do we and I think I'm asking questions backward. I'm asking questions backward, but no problem. Sometimes it's like that. when I'm when I'm really invested in a topic or in a matter, I begin to do that. So I'm going to come back to first of all how we can prevent heartbreak. But before that, I really want to sit with this because, like you said, there can be an underlying issue of mental health, and in Africa, um, most cases, mental health is not talked about. People don't want to come out and say I have a mental health challenge. And I'm going to come to Mama. You are a mother, you're a pastor's wife, you're a pastor yourself, you talk to people, you relate to people, you have contact with people all the time. How do we identify this person may have a mental health challenge? This person might not be as strong as especially in the Christian faith too. There is the tendency to cover everything with prayer. Let us pray, let's
True.
be spiritual.
Very
But
true.
underneath, there's pain, there's grief, there's brokenness, there's, you know what I mean? And we gloss over it. We dress nice, nice. We come to church on Sunday. We laugh and we greet brother and sister and we go home. And some people are really, how do we help them? How do we identify? So that before it begins to get to the level where someone goes and commits suicide, or where someone, you know what I mean? How can we intervene and help? How do we
Okay.
identify that situation?
Okay. I would say when somebody goes through heartbreak, either loss of a loved one, um, or the relationship came to an end
Just
and
a
all of
bad
them,
relationship, yeah.
bad relationship, yes. It's always advisable for family, friends, those involved around this person should actually surround the individual. Don't leave them to themselves, because when you see them isolating and getting drowned in being alone, depression sets in, and these are triggers. So when you see anybody just withdrawing themselves like that, it's good to pull them out, pull them into a circle, and just always be around. No, in fact, there are times they have to relocate from their accommodation to stay with somebody. So that there's this close monitoring. Now, how do you identify it? Now, depression, when they are beginning to talk funny, at times they say things, when they say things that is not connecting, it's not making sense, you know that this person is already losing it at some point. I have a sister who, in fact, it started with heartbreak. Then she was to take an exam that period. She was in law school, and she messed up in that exam and everything just jammed. Law school gone,
Hmm.
boyfriend gone, everything. And in fact, it was a terrible time in her life. But we tried all our best. You see, this person is taking her out for dinner, this one is taking her for movies. We just tried everything to be around and take her mind off it. But when I begin to talk strange, I'm going to kill myself or wander away. There was a friend of mine whose sister just disappeared from the house. They woke up that morning at about 6 and discovered the gateman said they saw her leaving at 4. They just thought it was she was heading somewhere. And then she left her phone, everything. So at that point, you have to take like deliberate action. Take her to a therapist, take the person to a therapist, say a counselor. If if possible, take her for to evaluate the mental um just check the mental health at that time. So it's critical. It's those around them that we actually point out and discover strange behaviors, strange attitude. Some even take into drugs, like you see them lose it. A colleague of mine, in fact, the person she was to marry started dating another colleague, like in the same office, and it was crazy. She took into drugs,
Hmm.
and in fact, we had to take. Well, we just became friends. Like we had to like become a friend. She wasn't a friend before, but seeing this is a tough time. It's really tough. So we had to just surround her. You see this one inviting her for programs, group parties, like just to get her busy. But truly, the drugs too now impacted, affected her. And it's really a struggle now. We've tried to counsel her to seek help. Some of us try to reach out to her mother too, probably the family, because she's not with her family yet. Probably if the family too can reach out. So it's very important that they are with people who are not isolated. That's the only way you can monitor these people like that going through
Hmm.
such times.
Hmm. Thank you. Thank you. I really agree with you that one of the best things we can do is ensure that they are not isolated,
Yeah.
that they can have a safe place. And I've heard people dismiss it. There are many fishes in the water. Why do you want to kill yourself because of one man? Why do you want to kill yourself because of one girl? Yeah, don't dismiss people's don't dismiss people's emotions.
Yeah, no, no.
My brother is laughing. It's true.
No, in
Some
this
people
part
do
of the
it.
world, we say things like that a lot. We feel
Someone
it's
comes
just
to
a way of
you.
getting the person off it, but it's not that easy.
Yeah, but then it's let's not be dismissive or patronizing about it. We have to
Yeah,
first understand that everyone, our thresholds are different.
true.
Our resiliences are different. I mean, I used to always say, "Oh, no one has ever broken my heart," but it depends on you. And imagine someone couldn't write a whole law school exam because of a heartbreak. Someone has gone into drugs. Someone is attempting suicide. Someone is self-neglecting themselves, because of a heartbreak. I mean, I know another lady I met who said she had been married for years. Like one of our comments here, someone said, when you look at what you've invested in the relationship for years and how long this lady had been married for years, and she thought she was in a I mean, years as long as almost 30 something years. She thought she was in a fun, loving relationship, but only to discover the man had been cheating for close to 10 years of the 30 something years. And she went bonkers. Okay, even when she was saying, "Oh, I'll forgive you, stay," the man said, "No, I want to go with the other woman."
Ah.
Because she said to me, this is somebody I know very well. She said to me, I couldn't even wake up in the morning and cook because who am I cooking for? That's serious. So even she was not eating. She will go days without eating because she can't get up to say, I want to go into the kitchen. I've always cooked for him. I've always cooked his favorite meals. I've always done dinner as per what he likes for 30 something years.
Mm.
And quite very, very unfortunately, the man left to be with the other woman and died within 8 months
Wow.
of leaving his wife. Yeah. And so she started mourning and grieving all over again. I mean, it impacted her mental health. She had to be confined.
Yeah, but at times, okay, let me give you this story. My university days, I was in this toxic relationship and I had to serve the guy breakfast.
Hmm.
I now discovered that he was using suicide to just like pull me back. He was blackmailing me. I'm going to kill myself. At a point when I now discovered that this was just blackmail to have me back, I looked for some of his friends. I told them like I'm not doing it again, and he's talking about suicide. Please, you guys should surround him. And I
To
walked
help him
away.
before he
So we
killed
need to be
himself.
careful too. It depends on the individual who
That's
you're
true.
dealing with.
Emotional blackmail. How do we draw the
Exactly.
line with that? But
So
but I
I
think also,
feel it's not your when you walk away. It's not still your responsibility to nurse the wound of that person. It's the responsibility of those around the person, so that you
oh yeah.
don't fall back to what you're trying to walk away from.
Mm, mm. Is that cold? Emmanuel,
Yeah,
what
for
do you think? Is
me.
that a cold? Is that a cold stand to say?
Wow.
What do you think? Should you be overly concerned
Okay.
about the person that you have
It's a
broken up
good
with?
if
Continue.
if you were in an amicable if you were in an amicable relationship,
Yeah,
chances are you would still have a sense of care. It's
true.
a lot of the time where people don't care is because there was animosity, or the situation you described now, blackmail going on. But there are situations where people do care about one another, but things just fallen apart and have drifted away. In those situations, there's a tendency to still care about the person's well-being, even if that relationship or marriage or something has broken apart. It is possible, is what I am saying. Now, is it healthy? Is it the best thing to do? Perhaps not. If there is truly no hope for that relationship, and Mama C, you talked about how people should still try to fight for their love and all that good stuff. But if the relationship has truly come to a hopeless state, then it's perhaps healthier for other people to be involved in that healing process. It might make it more difficult for either party to actually heal and find ways to move on if they're still dealing with you, if you get what I mean. So to an extent, I agree with the statement. It sounds a bit harsh, but it's not harsh in the sense that if depending on how that relationship ended, a
Yeah,
clean break is also a way of having a new beginning. Just take a clean break,
Mm,
and then you give yourself space to start all over.
okay. Okay. My question stemming from that is, can a fresh start not be with the same person? Do I really have to start afresh with another person? Because sometimes, not in a negative sense, and I think next week we'll talk about this, really talking about how to let go when it's really truly over. We'll talk about that to minimize your broken heart and all that, how to let go when it's, when to know when it's really over. But I'm just saying, is it not really possible to, I mean, this is mend fences, that's the essence of this platform. Is it not really possible to mend fences and start again, a fresh beginning, new beginning with the same person? Does it really have to be with someone else? I know that there's a particular religion. In that religion, when a man divorces the wife, she has to go and marry someone else before he can ever marry her again. So it's kind of part of their law in that religion. So my question just is, this new beginning, can it really be with the same person? Can I be talking about new beginning with my current person? Can I be talking about a fresh start with my
Hmm.
current person? Or must I really have to look further? Mama starts, then
Hmm.
doctor will speak.
Okay, I feel it's either ways. It could be with same person or a brand new person. And it's new beginning because you're starting afresh if it's with same person. But of course, if it's with same person, like we said earlier, you would have evaluated what happened before, what brought it to an end, and okay, how can we make sure we are not repeating that circle? Like, what are we going to do differently this time around to have it new and different from what happened before? So, yes, the way the first one ended would determine if actually these two can come back again to start afresh. And if it's with somebody new, of course, you would have healed. Like we said, you must heal to deal. So if you don't heal, don't deal. And in the place of healing, yes, you would have evaluated your everything you've been through before now and have conversations now. Both relationship, new or old, you must have conversations, agreement, decisions, like decide together. This is how we're going to build this relationship. These are the boundaries. This is how far I can go. You must explain and discuss everything you think, you feel, your likes, your dislike, even with somebody that you've dated before. If anything had changed, discuss it. If you're still in doubt about certain things that happened in the past relationship, discuss it before you deal. So I would say either ways it's possible.
Okay. Um, doctor, before you finally jump into it, what if? How many times can I start afresh? And I want to, yes, yes.
Funny.
I want to paint a scenario where, like Mama has said,
Hmm.
we had a broken relationship. We had issues. We've discussed. We've come to agreement. We've had this nice conversation. We have decided we're starting afresh. I mean, now with the same person. You've decided we're starting afresh. Let's throw away the past. Let's start on a clean slate. Blah and blah and blah. And then you start afresh with this person. And then somewhere, down in a few months, few years time, the person goes back, or you find yourself back in the same kind of issues, meaning that one person is not maybe keeping the agreement that you had. Do you come back again and reevaluate and start afresh, or do you now say, okay, I gave you fresh starts before, it is the end now? Or do you say, okay, I know Bible said, all right, 70 times 7, go on.
Oh wow. Okay. So see,
I'm
there's
asking
a
hard questions,
and
right?
I let me start with that scripture. Let me start with that scripture because often that scripture tends to be misinterpreted. There's a
Mhm.
difference between forgiving somebody and remaining in a, how do I say, and
Toxic.
continuously remaining in a bad situation, yeah, toxic situation. They're two different things, right?
Yeah.
I don't think you read in the scripture they wanted to throw Jesus off the cliff. He simply walked away and left that city. You read again in another scripture that they doubted him. They said, "Who is this carpenter's son?" He simply walked away and left that city and went to where he was more accepted and he was able to do ministry freely. It doesn't mean he has a grudge against those people. I'm pretty sure in my heart of heart that he forgave them. But there's a difference between carrying out his ministry in a specific place connected with those people and forgiving them. I just wanted to try to put a bit of distinction there. All that to say, it's very common in scenarios, marital scenarios, where there's separation for couples to still get back together. That's super common. A lot of the time, things do happen in marriages, and couples get to the point where they decide to take a break. They get separated for a duration of time, and they have rules that surround that separation. And when they feel like they are meeting those rules and they talk things out, if they're seeing a therapist, for example, they get professional help involved, or whatever it is they're doing, it is common. This is very commonplace that they do get back together. The other side of it is it's often very common that couples like that, after they've been separated, the separation actually even gives them more reason to believe that the best line of action is for this separation to be permanent, right? So it's one or the other. So yes, it's possible to start afresh with the same person. There are a couple things you just have to keep in mind. One is, if it's the same person, chances are the person is not automatically going to change into this different person altogether, right? The example you gave is a typical and a very common scenario. Why? Because the person is still the person. They're not going to automatically transform into some angel that you suddenly are meeting for the first time. That doesn't mean that we cannot make efforts to be better, right? It's not an excuse to just keep doing things the way. Yeah, we can always get better, but have realistic expectations if you're starting all over with the same person, right? Don't set the
Mm,
bar so high that you feel like you've gotten back with that same person and you're now acting surprised. It's the same person. I just wanted to put that one there. But
yeah.
yes, there's nothing wrong with forgiving and starting all over with the same, especially in the case of marriage. You're married, you're already married to this person by covenant, and it's supposed to be till death do us part. As long as the situation allows for, and you have the capacity to, it's not harmful. I don't think it's a bad thing to keep trying and starting all over with that person. If it gets to the point where you're no longer able to, or the circumstances actually merit for you to be permanently separated, then that's a different topic altogether.
Hmm. Fantastic. Well done. Thank you. Thank you, Mama. Ah, it's a hard one, but the Lord is the strength of our life. Amen. You know, I see
Amen.
some situations, and out when you're outside, you know what I mean. When you're outside the relationship, it's like when you're watching a football match, you kind of see more of what the players should have done or not do than the players themselves who are on the field. Or when you yourself get on the field and you're the one playing,
Hmm.
the situation is different. So sometimes we're
Hmm.
outside. The reason I actually asked that question about starting a friend with someone, the same person, we're outside and we're like, what is she doing there? Why would she not leave? Why will he not leave? Why is he still with her? Why is she still with her? With that person. But you don't know what is going on in the dynamics of the relationship, really. But like Mama said, what's most important is that there is an evaluation. So you're not just sitting there in that toxic relationship or in that relationship where something is going wrong. You're not evaluating. You're not making a move for change. You're not asking. You're not demanding. Let me put it that way. I believe that we should demand for change from our spouses, from our fiancés, from people, even from our friends. If you have a friend that is not treating you right, speak up and say, I don't like the way you treat me. I don't like the way you talk to me. I don't like the way you've done this, or and be assertive in your communication without being aggressive. I don't like the way you are doing this, and I don't like the way you're doing that. And give them an opportunity to change and do better. Now that they know, maybe they didn't know that that way they have been treating you is harming you or it's harming the relationship. Give them the opportunity to do better. I'm not one who is quick to support people to jump out of a relationship, jump out of a marriage. Oh, just throw it away. No, we can mend, we can repair, we can work together. But the question I've asked, which you people still have not answered me, is How long do you continue to give this person another chance? You people should tell me. Oh, I never answer them. You have danced around it, but you've
Well,
not said it
okay.
specific. Should
For
I
me,
do it 3 times? Should I do it 10 times? Should I do it 50 times? How long do I continue to say, okay, let's start afresh? This is what you've done wrong. This is what I have done wrong. We have reevaluated. Can we start afresh? Can we have a new beginning? How many times can I do that before I say, okay, okay, I'm done. I can't continue?
I
That's
believe
my
it
question.
depends on the
That's what it's
situation until we define what the issue is. So, because if it's for a married couple, it's a different ball game, you know. So, I think it depends on what is at stake here, because there are other issues that, well, with time, you see couples adjust to one another. Even after they had broken up once, twice, as they grow older, they'll just find a way to live with each other, tolerate, just have ground rule while they are still in the same relationship. Yeah. So it depends, really.
Hmm. Doc, what do you have to say? Just few minutes to go. What do you have to say about that? I'm talking about duration. Can we actually peg how long and how many
If
times? I mean, I'll give you an
if I
example.
would,
I have a friend and she's still healing. She's still healing from, well, she first had a bad marriage, so she got divorced. And they started dating this guy who she really liked, and who at the onset, was coming on like he really liked her. And then after some time he disappears. He won't call, he won't talk and all that. And then she will try and reconnect with him. They reconnect. It's all fire and brimstone again. And then after some time he disconnects. And I started saying to her, leave this guy. I don't think this guy is a serious person. But for where? She kept taking him back over and over and over again. That's my question. How many times before I say, okay, I've thrown in the towel, I can't do this anymore? 10 rounds according to boxing?
Well, in that situation, in that situation,
uh,
for me, it happened once. They went on a break, happened a second time, then it disappears again with maybe same pattern. For me, that is enough. It just tells you this is his pattern, and there are things he's not saying. Probably he has another family. If so, I think after the second time, call him. Do you have another family? Like, be blunt, ask direct questions. Probably it
Our time is
feels
almost up.
small.
Oh, she actually did, and she had the conversation. Like, what's going on? Why are you disappearing? Blah, blah, blah. Yeah, I have a lot of
You
things
know,
going on right
there's
now. My emotional this is this and that. And I'm having and so kind of challenge myself. Blah 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 blah. As far as
sorry.
I'm concerned, he always just put her at the least, the
You
bottom
you
of his
know there are
priority.
some people whose love is blind. So
So how do we
there
help
are
them
times
see? We cannot
there are
help them,
times it
right?
takes somebody else to, if she can involve somebody else to engage with this person, or maybe this guy is gaslighting her or just using her as a tool to achieve certain things. So for me, once it happens twice and I'm seeing same pattern, I rest my case in this scenario.
All right, doctor.
No, 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 no,
What do you say before we go?
if they are not married, then yes, it does call for you to be really cautious about, providing multiple start all over. It might be a very dangerous pattern. And if you're not yet married in the sense of making that kind of commitment to someone, and you're already living like this, what are the chances that you're willing to live like this the rest of your life? So in an unmarried scenario, it's really one that would call for quickly rethink and quickly make a decision if you have to just peacefully move on, I would say. If they are married and it's a case of, restart, then I would say give it as much fight as you is within you and as God gives you strength to, until you don't have the strength to carry on anymore.
Great. Thank you. Fantastic response. You still don't
really,
have
I,
any
I
time,
I
but
actually
I
have
like
a
the response
friend who
now.
is married. I have a friend who is married, and
Yeah.
this kind of scenario, the guy will travel that is going for a job. He has a contract, and he goes for 3 4 months.
Ah.
Then he shows up. Where is the money from the contract? It's not feeding the family. She has two children. She had to sell her car to take care of the children. In fact, from the
Oh
money,
wow.
we still collect the money, disappear for another 3, 4 months. Today they are separated. They had to just go their separate ways because she couldn't continue like that. So
Yeah.
she slept with 2 kids. She had to just tell herself, she was like, this is not marriage. This is not what a marriage should
Exactly.
be. There was no explanation, no definition. She now discovered that those jobs is not true. Probably has another family. She doesn't know. So you cannot leave your open your door. He's now a stranger. He's more or less a stranger in that marriage. You cannot just allow him walk in whenever. And she that's continued for, I think they were together for about 5 years, and she had to just call it off.
And I wonder if she ever saw any sign of that when they were dating. Anyways, our time is up. Thank you.
No, she didn't.
Thank you so much for your time, people. Like I always say, 1 hour is just too
Okay.
short when we're having fun here. And
Yeah.
what we're talking about on this platform are serious life issues, serious life nuggets that can help you people. So share our videos, tell someone to tell someone. You could be saving someone. Somebody might just be sitting there and what they need to hear is, oh look, I'm not alone in this. There are people who are also going through or who have gone through the same situation. How did they overcome them? How did they start afresh? Somebody might just say, no, this is the end of life for me because this guy has broken my heart. I've invested so much in this relationship, or this lady has broken my heart. I've invested so much in this relationship. But just hearing this conversation, they know, oh okay, I'm not alone. I can overcome. I can start afresh. I mean, there's always an opportunity for a new beginning, and I don't care how many times you need to, darling. You can do it. You can start afresh. You are strong enough. Find the strength in yourself. There's strength even in love to be able to love again, to be able to say, I'm going to try again. And yeah, mend it, fix it if it's possible. If it's not possible, let it go. But don't be bitter and don't sit with the grief. Don't sit with the pain. Don't let it become your name. Don't let it label you. Don't let it become your life. Oh, every time someone sees you, oh, that's the lady who got divorced. Oh, that's the lady whose husband cheated on her. That becomes your name. No, 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 no. Don't make it your label. Rise from the ashes of it, and beauty can come from ashes. Like one of our commentators said, some heartbreak can be a blessing. It's your opportunity to do it again, to repeat, and failure, they say, is an opportunity to do it better. So you failed at it. Evaluate yourself. What happened in this relationship? What was my part in it? What was the part of the other person? Take your lessons from it. Cry if you need to cry, but don't sit there mourning. Don't sit there like it's the end of your life. There is always an opportunity for a fresh start. If you just believe, there's always an opportunity for a new beginning if you agree with God. All right, everyone. Thank you so much again, Pastor Mary, for your time today. And thank you, Emmanuel, as usual. I don't take it for granted. God bless you. Thank you for coming on the show. That's been our show. Next week, we are going to continue this topic. And like I said, people will be here to share real life experience. So we're going to talk to people who have experienced either a breakup or the death of a loved one. And they'll tell us practically how they've been able to let go, if they've been able to let go, and how they are dealing with their pain and their grief. Yeah, it's a new year, new things, new season. Connect, subscribe so you don't miss any of our live shows. Thank you to everyone. Thank you for your comments. Thank you to
Yeah,
all
I
of
think
you.
I think we're experiencing some technical difficulties.
Oh, you can't hear me?
Yeah,
Am I breaking
but
up?
we've come to the end of the program, and thank you so much, everyone, for tuning in and for sharing. And you can leave your comments and questions. We will get to them at the question and answer sessions.
All right. Bye, everyone.
Bye.